What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news, updates, and content things to be aware of as we move through the next weekly reset. So, as always, we'll talk about some of the content dropping this week. That will include the continuation of a community puzzle for the game, which will be interesting. Bungie drop a couple of teasers on that front. Otherwise, we've got a few heads up regarding content and items worth completing in the next week. New fixes that Bungie have implemented, featured content, and a handful of other things to talk about in the video. Firstly though, if you are new to the channel, around half of all of the viewers on the channel aren't actually subscribed, so if you feel like helping us out by doing that, it'd be very much appreciated and I can keep you up to date with other things related to the game, but otherwise, let's get into today's video. Initially, not related to this week necessarily, but the Destiny 2 team said, due to an issue where Clash and not Mayhem was the game mode required for the superfluous seasonal challenge, we've decided to auto-complete the challenge for all players. So if you were wondering why that one was ticked, that's why. And of course, be sure to claim it for the juicy XP gains. Otherwise, kind of related, somebody said, can you complete the Rift challenge too? But the Destiny 2 team replied, come close, Rift will be back on May 6th, so you'll have one more chance to complete the Spark Defender challenge. And based on their wording, it sounds like that's the only planned week that will actually get Rift for the remainder of the episode. So if you absolutely need to complete all of them, then that's something else to keep in mind. Over the last weekly reset though, of course we did have the Sunless Cell featured as the Nightfall, and there's a special emblem that players can unlock by having completed any Nightfall run during last week. Just to clarify, Bungie did say it'll take a bit of time to distribute those emblems as they're not granted automatically, so not 100% sure when we'll get that update, but if you did complete the Nightfall, you should be eligible for that emblem and hopefully it'll be granted soon. Next up though, last week, of course, we got the introduction of a whole bunch of chess pieces into Destiny 2 as part of the weekly reset. There were 60 in total, and the initial reward was basically a bunch of strange coins. I'm not sure if collecting all 60 of the chess pieces is actually necessary to do in order to continue with the puzzle, but Bungie did tease it is indeed a community puzzle. And last week they'd said all of the pieces are moving into place during this first week, which is a strong indication that the continuation of this puzzle will be in the second week, which is this reset. So look out for that. Bungie added, we're not helping in any way. The only thing we'll say is, don't lose your sanity over it and rest when needed. We won't point fingers, but you know who you are. Don't overwork yourselves and enjoy the ride. So as opposed to a traditional quest, I guess, with basic objectives, this is a community puzzle, and it looks like it will continue after the reset this week. Like I said, I'm not sure whether having all 60 of the chess pieces is a prerequisite to actually be involved in deciphering this community puzzle. And also on the basis of how Bungie have worded it, it is something that could take the community and players a while to actually figure out. So temper expectations as we head into the reset. If you're a bit of a puzzle master, this might be one to get involved with. Like I said, I don't necessarily anticipate that this is something we'll be able to walk in and simply complete a series of objectives, but there may be a process at the end of it that has a reward. We do know that there's an emblem reportedly associated with this. We don't know if it will lead to anything else, but I will as always keep you posted at Weekly Reset, and when we jump in for the vendor video, we'll take a quick look around to see if there are any obvious components involved in continuing this, so keep it locked and loaded. On a separate note though, given that Rite of the Nine will be dropping next week, this reset does have the final Curio of the Nine, which is a currency that, as far as we understand it, presumably will be associated with the upcoming event. So if you want to make the most of Rite of the Nine, once again in these last few days, I would make sure you've unlocked all of the ones that we can get from seasonal challenges, as no more will be dropping, but given that Bungie have been teasing us about these all through the season so far, the reasonable assumption is that they will do something useful, so keep that in mind. Moving on though, another element of prep worth considering this week, but there'll be no trials on Friday, worth mentioning that first, and of course that is because the Iron Banner is back, so it's the third time in the episode that it's been featured, and Bungie say it will return once again on May 24th, but they do give a recommendation for any folks who want to pick up all of the potential rewards for Iron Banner over the next couple of months, to essentially pile up a few Iron Banner engrams this week. As in the update on May 6th, they'll be adding 3 new weapons to particular activities, and Iron Banner will be one of them, so a new Iron Banner weapon coming next month, and if you want better chances to get that weapon, and of course the roles that you may be after, while we don't know exactly what the weapon is yet, again the recommendation is to hold on to some Iron Banner engrams if you can, so keep that in mind. And otherwise, Bungie had said the Inquisitor will return to trials after May 6th, I'm not sure if we'll get Trials of Osiris next week on the 9th of May, simply because that's when Bungie have said they're going to be launching the heavy metal game mode. So I don't know if they'll cause any disruption with that, but just another component to keep in mind. This week, according to all rotations, we'll still see Plug 1 as the Nightfall weapon drop in from inside Terminus, but if you're curious about the return of Lotus Eater, given that it's only been featured once, the rotation currently says that that will return on the 6th of May as well. So if that's the case, of course, with Rite of the Nine and any other components that may drop then, and the reveal that we'll get next Tuesday, it looks like it'll also be the case that that will be a Lotus Eater week in the Nightfall. So I guess prepare to get busy. Otherwise, couple of final mentions, but I've still seen a couple of questions regarding the wizard sets of armor that are going to be featured in Eververse at some point during Act 3. DMG did previously tease that they'll be dropping soon, and so it's possible one of these quieter weeks might see them come to the Eververse store. And when that does finally happen, there'll be a purchase option of 1,500 silver or 6,000 bright dust, so just something else to bear in mind right there. But I will keep you posted with the Eververse store at Weekly Reset. Finally though, quick Bungie Foundation mention here, but there's a new emblem that can be earned by making a $25 donation, and Bungie have said the Foundation is excited once again to participate in the Gauntlet, a fundraising and tabletop gaming competition supporting our partners at Gamers Engaged. And the new emblem we can see here is called Fired Up, and we'll get that if we make a $25 donation, with all proceeds supporting Gamers Engaged and their Play It Forward fund, which is a program focused on providing grants to small organizations to make real change in mental health, education, and community. So if you like the look of that and you want to help out, donations will be open up until May 18th of 2025. And I'll link an article from Bungie on their website down below if you want to get more details. For today though guys, that is what we have to speak about. So cheers as always for tuning in. I'll be keeping you up to date this week on any reveals and new information about Rite of the Nine in particular. Of course, that will drop after the reveal that we get next Tuesday on May 6th. So chances are Bungie will go into a little bit more detail, perhaps in the TWID this week, regarding weapons, reward systems, and any other kind of small previews that we might get for it. So keep it locked and loaded here for that. Otherwise, thank you very much for the support. If you missed my recent mean comments or Houndish versus Reddit video, if you fancy a bit of a laugh, some folks seem to find it kind of amusing. So I'll link that down below if you want to check it out. And I've got to say a massive thank you to all of you guys for the kind words and support you've shown on the channel and for sticking around for all these years. 2025 is going to be another busy year and an interesting one, with Bungie changing up the format of Destiny content, releasing another game, and all of the various things that go alongside that. Of course, we know what they are, so grab the popcorn. It's going to be a wild ride potentially. Otherwise though, for today, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you guys very soon.
Their desires, their undoing. I name my throne the High Heresy, formed in opposition to the Hive. Here I am Heresiarch. Here I am Jailer. For my throne will be Oryx's prison.